Welcome back to the It's Too Easy podcast. Wrapping up the last week of the college football season before we get to some bowl games. I think it's week 12 now with the NFL. So, Jake, kick us off with the slate for the week.
Yep. So college football, obviously rivalry week. So it's going to be a big week with a lot of big games. Memphis is the first game going into playing Tulane. They're 14.5-point dogs on the road. Both teams 9-2, or 8-2. Both teams are looking pretty good. I like Memphis. I feel like 14.5 points is a lot. And Tulane has been solid, but I don't know. It just feels like a lot of points for two teams that are both playing pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like this game ends up being 7 points. I could really see it swinging either way, although Tulane at home should get the win. Mensah, their QB's been stepping up the last few weeks, starting to throw the ball, which I think is going to help them get the win. But both teams have great running backs, great run defenses as well. I think this will be a good one. 14.5 seems like a lot, so I'm going to take Memphis. Like you said, both teams at 9-2. Memphis was one of the first ones out. Tulane's up to 17, so they are playing for a shot at potentially making the college football playoff eventually if they can pull off 10-2 and then win the conference.
Yeah, true.
Memphis
Second game on our
also doing the same though. So
yeah, true. Second game is Oregon State at Boise State. I'm not sure what the IR is looking like with Ashton Jeanty, but if he is not playing, I'm definitely going to be taking Oregon State plus 20. Oregon State's 5-6. They haven't looked great. They've lost a couple games that they probably shouldn't have, and just really weird, ugly games. But 20 points is a lot. Boise State, obviously, they need to stay somewhat healthy to prepare for the playoff. So as long as they win this game, they should be in. So I don't think they're too concerned about covering. 20 points is a lot in college football, especially for an Oregon State team that's looking to get somewhere into a conference. So I think they should be able to cover 20 in this.
yeah, I like the plus 20. They haven't been able to do much all year. Ollie Gordon was one of the favorites for the Heisman going into the season, expected to be the best running back coming out the draft. Haven't heard much about him all year. He's been there for a few years, so I don't think he's coming back. Interested to see how he does. I expect him to ball out in what could be one of his last games in college. I think that this one stays definitely within 20.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma State at Colorado is the next game on our slate. Another game that just feels like a really inflated line. I know Colorado's looked really good this season, but last week they had a really tough loss by like 17 points, and a game that they were definitely favored to win. So it's just kind of a little bit shocking that Oklahoma State, I know they're 3-8, but they do run the ball really well. 17.5-point dogs just feels like a lot.
Yeah, sorry, I meant Ollie Gordon for this one.
Yeah.
17. Oregon State's just been all over the place with the last one, but yeah, I think Colorado's defense has had a struggle stopping everybody this year. So 17 seems like a lot for a defense that can, let up a lot of points. Obviously, I think this is Bowman's last game in college, just after his 6th or 7th season over at Oklahoma State. So he should be able to ball out. I think Colorado comes away with a win, probably by 10, but I will take the plus 17 for the Cowboys.
Right on. Yep. Then we got Minnesota going into Wisconsin, into what should be a really cold game. Wisconsin 2-point favorites in this one. Just gonna take them on the money line. I feel like 2 points is probably a trap. They could end up winning by a field goal late. But I do feel like Wisconsin's most likely going to be the better team here, as long as they can play three ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time I say a 2-point line, it makes me want to take a missed PAT. That's just what those lines feel like. Wisconsin's very good at running the ball, decent at throwing it this year. Minnesota's been about the same, so it is interesting that because of the line and the home team, they're technically favoring Minnesota. I do think Wisconsin gets it done at home. I think it's a big one for them. Got to end the season hot, so I'm going to take them on the money line.
Yeah, right on. Then we got your alma mater, Liberty, at Sam Houston. Liberty obviously has been pretty shaky this season, so do like Sam Houston here at home. They're 3-point dogs at home. That feels like line's probably shifted a little bit too much the other way.
Yeah, I was surprised to see this. I kind of expected Sam Houston to be favored by 3 or 4.
That's what I was expecting.
Being at home, and this game is to see who plays against Jacksonville State in the championship game for Conference USA. Obviously, Liberty won it last year, had been undefeated. They haven't looked great this year, so I was pretty surprised, and I think Sam Houston probably gets the win, so I will take the plus 3 at home.
Cool. We got Georgia Tech at Georgia. I think Georgia is 19.5-point favorites in this one. I'm probably just gonna buy it up to 20.5. Take Georgia Tech. If Georgia continues to start slow, then this could be a closer game than people think. Georgia Tech just beat Miami and kind of sent them flying away for the second. But yeah, Miami not looking too great as of recently. But yeah, I think Georgia Tech has a solid shot to keep this one within 20.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be an interesting one. Georgia Tech's defense has been solid, and Carson Beck has been very shaky, as well as the running back room not being healthy for Georgia. So I just think 20 is a spread that Georgia Tech should be able to keep it within. Interested to see if Haynes King plays, because if he does, I think they have a chance of keeping it one score probably until late in the game. I don't think they end up keeping it that close, but probably 13 points. I definitely think 20 is something they can cover.
Yep. Yep. Like that. And then we got Nebraska and Iowa. Didn't really like picking a winner in this one. I think Iowa's 6-point home favorites in this one. And it's supposed to be a snowy game, if I'm not mistaken. At least super cold for one. But yeah, liking the under 39.5 in this. Iowa obviously loves to play good defense. And Nebraska, we know, does keep games close. So expecting this one to be pretty low scoring.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think low scoring is kind of the way to go for this one with the weather and how good both of these defenses have been. And usually those offenses aren't that great. So under, what was it, 40, 39 and a half, something like that. I definitely like it.
Yeah. 39.5. So that should be a good one. Then we got Washington and Oregon. Another one that's feels like a pretty inflated line for a rivalry game. Washington 20-point dogs going into Eugene. Obviously, we've played really well at home this year, so I understand with us being the number one team in the nation, giving us a lot of credit. But Washington beat us twice last year. I don't think it's the same team necessarily, but I do think they're going to be able to keep it close. As long as we win the game, we should be, pretty comfortable going into the Big Ten championship game. I don't know how we're going to fare against Ohio State on a neutral site. I do think the home field advantage definitely played a big factor in the first game of the season. So hopefully we'll be able to play a good game in the Big Ten championship game. But I do think that Washington will be able to keep this within 20.
Yeah, I think this will probably be a 20, 21 point game. Um, like no more than that, I can't imagine. Oregon's got a decent defense, but the Washington offense has been balling for the most part with obviously Will Rogers and Coleman, Jonah Coleman coming over from Arizona last year. He's been running it really well this season. If they can control the ground game, be able to throw it when they need to, I think they should easily be able to cover 20. Oregon should win without hesitation, but I could see it between 10 and 20 for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking 17 points, probably right around the sweet spot. Then we got Michigan and Ohio State. Ohio State's, I think, 20-point favorites as well, or maybe 19.5. Actually, I think it might be inflated to 21 now. But either way, I'm going to buy it down to 17. I do think that Ohio State's a much better team. They've got that one loss on their record now, and they're not. I think truly they are the number one team in the country, just by the way they've been playing the last few weeks. But yeah, just all three phases, they play really well. Their special teams does find ways to affect games, so I think that they find a way to affect this game as well, and they should be able to cover 17 against Michigan. And for that reason, I'm also going to take the over.
Yeah, I think this is a good game for the over. I think it was in the low 40s.
Yeah, 42.
Yeah, so I mean, Ohio State I think is averaging 37 at home. So that alone they could almost cover. You'd expect Michigan to get at least one score, even though their offense has been pretty piss poor. Um, you'd think they keep it closer than that, so I definitely like over 42. I don't expect Ohio State to get anything under 28, and I would hope that Michigan can at least put up 14. So interested to see how that one goes, how close they really can keep it, but I like the minus 17 as well.
For sure. Then we got Tennessee and Vandy. Another really interesting game. Vandy's 10.5 point home dogs against Tennessee. I'm going to take the 10.5 points. I feel like this is another potential upset game here for Vandy, or at least to keep it within 10. This could be, just another reason to ride off into the sunset on the season. Like, this is a pretty solid season for them if they can get this win. So why not Vandy?
Yeah, I mean, took down Alabama and then almost took down Texas. It was a 3-point loss that they had. Granted, it was at home. But now this one against a much worse team in Tennessee than Texas and Alabama, in my opinion. I think Alabama's had a rough year, and I think they're still a better team than Tennessee. They've been really shaky all over the place. Nico's been in, out, not looked great. So getting 10 points at home in a rivalry, Like you said, riding off in the sunset could be another big win, uh, and knocking out Tennessee of the playoff as well,
Yeah.
potentially. So they're looking to upset, and I'm sure. And I do like that 10 or 11 points that you're getting.
Yeah, for sure. Another big game, South Carolina at Clemson. Obviously, you got that plus 800 Clemson to win the ACC before the season started, so this has big implications for that. I like Clemson in this game. South Carolina's obviously looked really good the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I just think overall as a team, Clemson's going to be better offensively, defensively. I just see them putting it together at home here.
Yeah, I need Clemson to win, and I need basically Miami. That's the only option to
Yeah.
lose. Granted, it doesn't really matter for uh, getting into the ACC championship since South Carolina's not in it. But I do think this is a big game for them to get into the college football playoff. So being ranked 12, the power ranking just came out, and they were not in the playoff picture. I think that's big for them. We talked about it with Georgia a couple weeks ago. They got left out. They came out and smacked and
Yep.
immediately shot up to 7. Um, so I definitely think that's going to happen here. South Carolina's looked very good all year, so I don't expect it to be easy. I could even see this being a live bet game where both teams have a lead. So whoever you like more, as soon as they go down, take their points.
Yeah.
But I do think Clemson comes away with a big win at home, gets themselves back in that playoff picture.
Yeah, no, I think that Clemson has a good shot to kind of reinsert themselves, and with the Miami loss, they have a really good shot to make it into the playoff. So yeah, I like them a lot this weekend. Virginia Tech, or sorry, not Virginia Tech, Texas Tech is at home against West Virginia this week. West Virginia's 3.5 point road dogs. Personally, I'm kind of back and forth on this, but I do like Texas Tech. I do think overall throughout the entire season they've looked a little bit better than West Virginia. I do think just being home is going to be a big factor in this game.
Yeah, don't have much of a say in that one. Both those QBs been interesting as the year went on. Not a huge Garrett Green guy, but he's had a solid season. But if I had to pick, I'd probably lean on Texas Tech.
Right on. We've got Notre Dame and SC, another big rivalry game. Notre Dame's 7.5 point favorites. I think they're back to 7th or 8th in the country after losing that early game against Northern Illinois in the season.
Yeah,
Fifth game. Or sorry, they're 5th in the country, huh?
the fifth. Yeah, they're at the fifth.
Wow. Okay, but yeah, I'm taking a -7.5. I don't think Jade Myalva from SC, since they put him in over Miller Moss, has been anything special. They've just kind of been able to grind out a few wins against really bad teams. Notre Dame is not a really bad team. I expect them to crush SC in this game. So 7.5 points doesn't seem like a lot. Now it is a rivalry game, so I do think that SC is going to come to play a bit, but I don't think their defense is going to have the fortitude to stick with them in this game.
Yeah, I definitely would like to buy it down to 6.5 and just take that straight up. I do think that they probably cover 7.5, 10, probably 20. Just with how we've seen both teams. Again, like you said, it's a rivalry, so I do expect it to be a bit closer. But I definitely think Notre Dame should cover 7, especially getting up to rank 5th in the country. Penn State ahead of them in 4th, which, again, Penn State's loss is tougher, but they also don't look phenomenal. So I am interested to see how this one goes. I think Notre Dame at least gets the win and probably covers 7.
Yeah, and I do like Jada Myalva to throw a pick six in this game. I do think at some point there is going to be a mistake that he makes, and Notre Dame's defense has been pretty good towards the second half of the season. So yeah, liking that in this one. Then we got Cal and SMU, another big game. A lot of implications. SMU is 13.5 point home favorites right now. Cal obviously has been hit and miss this season. It feels like they have a decent team, then they lose another big game. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with SMU. I think they're 10-1, which is pretty incredible. So go SMU, 13.5 point favorites at home. Why not?
Yeah, up to number 9 in the country, SMU,
Yeah.
with a lock into the ACC championship game. Whether they play Miami or Clemson is yet to be determined. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like them a lot. Their offense is phenomenal. I expect this game to be extremely high scoring. I do think that SMU covers the 13.5, although I'm pretty sure that this is Cal shot at a bowl game, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe they're 6-5.
I think yeah. Either
They
way,
might be
5-6 or
6-5.
6-5. Yeah.
Yeah, if they were 5-6, I'd probably lean on them to cover 14 if they shot it at a bowl game. But I do think SMU is going to cover 13. I'm pretty sure Cal does already locked in 6-5. So
Yeah, for sure. We've got Miami and Syracuse, another big game for the ACC, and that Clemson prediction that you had before the season. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I got Syracuse money line. Play it safe if you like. They are getting 11 points at home. I think this is a Kyle McCord that is probably done after this. I don't know if he'll go another year or not. But obviously, coming from Ohio State last year, he's been able to play against good defenses, and he should know what a good defense is going to look like. Miami's defense is not good.
No.
They haven't been good all year, and so I think they should be able to slice and dice. They're at home. They are 8-3. This gives them a chance to end the season hot, 9-3, and knock out Miami, not necessarily from just the ACC championship, potentially from the playoffs. And so I think this is going to be a very good game, uh, and I am going to take Syracuse to win it. So take that as you will.
Yeah, right on. I'll take them plus 11. Then we got Auburn at Alabama. Obviously, Auburn should have won that game last year at home. This year they're in Alabama. I don't love it, but 11.5 points is quite a bit for an Alabama team that just got skunked by Oklahoma 24-3. Milroe looked terrible with the 3 picks. They couldn't get anything going. I think it's pretty clear that when Saban's not there, it's a completely different program. And that's kind of starting to become more and more clear. A lot of people transferring that were committed to Alabama now too. I'm starting to see a lot more of that. A lot of people transferring from SC, a lot more of that. So it's just interesting to see a lot of these big programs that have big recruiting classes are starting to decommit and choose other programs. I saw that Julian Lewis ended up committing to Colorado. So once Shadir goes, he's the number one QB in 2026. So be interesting to kind of see how Colorado is able to fill Shadur's shoes and whether Dion follows him to the NFL and how that all plays out. But they got a good one in Julian Lewis, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. But yeah, Auburn plus 11.5. I think that's going to be my pick against Alabama this week.
I convinced you of it. Let's go. Yeah, we're definitely taking Auburn. I feel like these games are always low scoring, tight games. Obviously, we watched the Hail Mary at the end from Milroe last year to pull it off when they really shouldn't have. And then obviously screwing Georgia out of the playoff was crazy. But yeah, I'm going to take Auburn plus 11 just because I feel like it's one of those
Dog
tight
fight.
knit, tight knit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a dog fight every single time with the Iron Bowl. So I'll take the 11.5.
absolutely. Then another fun one: Arizona State at Arizona. Arizona State's 8.5 point favorites at Arizona. Obviously, talked a lot about Arizona this year. We're hype on them at the beginning of the year. Their offense has looked decent in some situations, but their defense is pretty much non-existent. So I'm taking Scadaboo to have a huge game against Arizona. I think they're going to cover the 8.5, and I think Scadaboo's going for at least 2 tuds and probably 200 yards all-purpose at some point. So yeah, I like Arizona State in this one.
Yeah, the line opened at 8.5 or 9.5, 9.5 because it's down
Yeah.
to 8.5 now. And I am all over Arizona. This
Okay.
is Arizona State just got listed at 12 in the college football playoff rankings, and Arizona has nothing to lose. They got everything to throw at them, and they're at home. They're going to have the momentum. This will be it for McMillan at Arizona. They don't have a bowl game. So this will be his last game of the year before going into the draft. I think he has a huge game, at least 150 yards, probably 2 scores. I do expect Arizona to not only cover the 9.5, I do think they're going to also win this game. So Syracuse and Arizona plus 300s are right about there, and I'm locking them both in.
Right on. Yeah, that's kind of ballsy, but I like it. Arizona, if they get this, Arizona State, sorry, if they get this win, they have a really good shot to insert themselves into the playoff picture even further. I think they make it to the Big 12 championship game, so be really interesting to see. I don't know exactly who they're going to play yet. I think that's still completely wide open. Right now, I think it's either Kansas State or
Iowa State potentially, or
yeah, maybe Iowa
BYU.
State, BYU, something like that. But either way, it kind of leaves that whole division wide open. And Arizona State was expected to be dead last in that entire conference at the beginning of the season. And I kind of told people, like don't sleep on them. They're going to be a really good team. They got Dillingham as their head coach. Like he's got those guys playing really good ball. So I'm not sleeping on them. I like them minus 8.5 this week. Then game over by you got NC State and UNC. Obviously, two teams that have struggled a lot this year. I think UNC is like 4-7, and NC State's 6-5 or 5-6, something along those lines. I don't really know too much about these teams, so I'll let you kind of take it away.
Yeah, UNC is 6-5 already. They also just fired their coach today, Brown, who's been there for ages, probably 80 years at this point.
Yeah.
They did fire him and say, "Hey, you can take this. This is your last game. Call it a career." And it's at home for them, so you'd think they might come out get that win, right? Nope, wrong. NC State is 5-6. They have been a disappointment this year, to say the least. Obviously, a lot of injuries, but their defense has been trash. They're 5-6, meaning that they need a sixth win to get a bowl game. I think that they go get it. I'm going to take the plus 3.5 on the road, but I will take the money line as well, just because I am believing in the Wolfpack to go out there and get that bowl game. So let's go State.
Right on. I'll ride with you. I like NC State in this one. Last couple on the slate, we got Oklahoma and LSU. I don't really have too much of a lean on this one. Oklahoma obviously just had a huge win against Alabama. I'm expecting them to be a little bit banged up after that game and now having to go back to play another SEC team. Kind of leaning on LSU money line. 6 just feels like a really weird number to me in this game. This could be one that ends up on a field goal for LSU late, or maybe even in overtime. But I am leaning on them money line.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning LSU money line as well. I was going to take the -6, but not love it. I am going to take the -6. I don't think Oklahoma is that good. They just beat a pretty bad Alabama team who obviously didn't prep well enough for them.
Yeah.
Crazy. And LSU hasn't been great. Brian Kelly is on the hot seat. He could get fired either way after this game. If they lose, I think he's gone immediately. If they win, interested to see how the bowl game goes, because everyone was calling for his head and booing him off the field last week.
True.
So I think LSU's going to have his back. I think they're going to go out. I think they're going to ball, and I think they're going to dominate.
Right on. The last couple, Texas against Texas A&M. That one's got huge implications as well. Whatever team wins this game is going to go play Georgia in the SEC championship game. Now, granted, obviously, both those teams are going to be looking for a big win, but either way, I think they're going to lose to Georgia. I do like Texas. I'm going to buy them down to 2.5 from 5. I do think 5 is just a little bit too much in a Texas A&M environment. There's going to be 110,000 screaming fans there, and I know Texas is really good, but A&M's actually pretty. I think they're kind of criminally underrated this season. It feels like they kind of have been slept on, and now they're just kind of sleeping their way right back on into the SEC championship game, which is pretty crazy to think about. But I do think that overall, Texas does have the better team. The thing that does really worry me is Texas hasn't beaten a single really good team this year. So that kind of does scare me. But, got to ride them in order for them to make it to the playoffs. So I'm going to take a -2.5.
Yeah, I like buying it down for sure. A&M has looked good. Obviously, 83. They just had a 15th ranking before losing this last weekend. I do think Texas is going to win. I don't love it, like you said, so I might even buy A&M up to 7 at home, but I'm kind of leaning on going the other way, taking Texas -3.
Right on. Then we got Kansas State and Iowa State. Kansas State 2.5-point dogs on the road against Iowa State. Personally, I've liked Avery Johnson and Giddens. I think they're much better than Iowa State, so I'm just going to ride with Kansas State plus 2.5. I think they're going to be the better team here.
Yeah, Avery Johnson and DJ Giddens is one of my favorite players. Love DJ. I think that they're going to get the job done on the road.
Right on. I'm also thinking big special teams play in that game. So somewhere in there, maybe a special team score, maybe defensive score. But yeah, I do like Kansas State in that one. Then last game for the NCAA, Houston and BYU. I think BYU's 13-point favorites right now. Not sure kind of where that line's moving, but I am going to buy it down to 10. I do think BYU is going to probably win this game convincingly, but just based on the past couple of weeks, it's tough to go, oh man, 13 is not a lot. So, I mean, it is a lot of points. So I do think Houston, there is a chance they may end up making this game close, but with BYU being at home, they have to make it in their conference championship game. And in order to do that, they have to win this game. And I feel like they need a convincing win in order to kind of get some respect and, have some sort of confidence going back to play Arizona State again.
Yeah, I'm going to take BYU -13. I was kind of on the other side when we were starting to talk, but Houston started with 4 games scoring under 7, and the last 2 they've scored under 10. So they started hot, falling off. I think that they're going to continue to fall off. Lavelle Edwards is tough to play with. BYU just lost 2 straight. I think they cover 14.
Yeah, right on. And then quick transition over to the NFL for Thanksgiving games Thursday night. We got opening game is the Giants and the Cowboys. I honestly Initially, I was thinking Giants plus 3.5 just because the Cowboys have been so criminally bad at home this season. Um, but now the more I think about it, I just what do the Giants have? And I think that, like we talked about this a moment ago, I think the Giants are starting Drew Lock, and if that's the case, the Cowboys are probably going to end up getting 2 interceptions. And if Cooper Rush can punch them in the end zone once, there's a chance that one time I'd be able to win them this game. So I'm after second thoughts, I'm thinking the Cowboys money line.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking the Cowboys win this one. They have not won at home all year. The Giants are the only other team who have not won at home all year. Don't know if it's going to be Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock. Honestly, I think they're better off probably with Drew Lock. But outside of him and Malik Neighbors, I mean, Tyron Tracy should get in the end zone actually because our rush defense is not good.
Yeah.
So interested to see how it goes, but I think Cowboys should be able to pull it off.
Yeah. And then another Thanksgiving game, we got the Bears and the Lions. That one's kind of a spicy one. The Lions, I think, are 12-point favorites, maybe 12.5. Either way, I'm personally liking the Lions, but I don't like them minus 12 or minus 13. If I'm taking the Lions, I'm either taking the money line or I'm going to take them minus 30 because it just feels like they win their game. When they win their games, they absolutely stomp their opponents, and Bears are an in-division rivalry, so this could be one of those games that they just show up again. And I do think that if it is one of those things, it's going to be they're either going to win close or it's going to be an absolute spanking. So yeah, I hate the 12.5-point line or 10-point line, wherever it's at. But I'll probably end up taking both those.
Yeah, I'm all over the Bears this week. It's either they cover this 10 and probably go get a win on the road on Thanksgiving, or Eberflus is gone. I think they've dropped 5 straight. This would make it 6.
Yeah.
Lions haven't given up a touchdown in 10 straight quarters. They're dogging everybody, hence the 10-point line. I just wanted to remind everyone they did no show last Thanksgiving against the Packers. Packers came out and ran them by 15, I believe. And so Jared Goff going to do Goff things, I hope, and Bears going to get a couple either special teams big plays or defensive takeaways, set them up in position to, I think, go get this win plus 400. I'm going to take plus 10 and leave it at that. If not, I definitely think Eberflus is gone. So it's going one way or the other. More than likely, Lions covered 10, but I'm going to take the Bears this week.
Yeah, right on. And then we got the Dolphins and the Packers. Packers obviously had a huge win against the Niners last week at home, 38-10. Really impressive win. Obviously, the Niners are pretty banged up. Didn't have Purdy last week. I think Brandon Allen was in there. He looked pretty terrible. Packers defense is for real, but the Dolphins with Tua back have been kind of a different beast. It kind of just has reawoken all of their receivers and backs. So it feels like the Dolphins are kind of kicking back into gear right now, and I do like this trajectory that they're on. So I'm going to take them plus 3.5.
Yeah, I definitely like the Dolphins. This is a chance to get back to 6-6 with 5 games to go. Get back in the AFC hunt. The Packers are, I think, 8-3.
Yeah,
Just smacked up on a beat up Niners team. I do like what they said. Hey, we played with the team that we have against the team that they have. We won games when our team was without their QB, and they continue to impress.
yeah.
But with that being said, Dolphins are starting to roll again. I think their offense is getting going, and I think they're going to cover 3.5.
Yeah, love that. And then we got the Raiders and the Chiefs. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites in this one. Oh man, the Raiders. If Desmond Ritter's playing, I'm taking the Chiefs minus 12.5. There's just no shot this game's going to be close. I think Ritter's going to probably turn the ball over 4 times in the first half, and the game will probably be over.
Yeah, enough said. I think Chiefs, they haven't covered over 12 except for once, and it was against the Saints. Every other game has been 10 points, and that was the Niners, or less, 8 or under from there. And so I think this is the one time where they finally go show out and they get their coverage of points. I think Pacheco might be back, which will be interesting. Obviously, still without Rashee and Marquise Brown as the season goes on. Travis Kelce's been getting involved since
Yep.
D-Hop got there. Shout out to D-Hop for opening up the field because they needed a receiver, so Travis wasn't getting double-teamed everywhere, especially without the running back. I
Shout
think
out
that
Kareem
continues
Hunt.
to happen. Kareem Hunt's been stepping up, obviously coming back, always ready to play, even after
Always.
time off, back on no team, then he's back to the Chiefs all over again. They've been looking good. I think that the Raiders suck. Last time they played in Vegas, Raiders got 1.5 yards per carry. It's not going to get any better going into the
No.
cold in Kansas City, and with that, that means they have to throw it. And I don't trust Ritter. I think he'll fumble twice, and I think the Chiefs will cover 12 points.
Yep, right on. Then kind of moving on, we got the Colts and the Patriots. Man, I was kind of back and forth on this one to start just because you got Drake May here, who's actually playing pretty solid ball, even though they're losing against the Colts and Anthony Richardson, who obviously has been a whole head case in himself. Um, I'm personally thinking the Patriots, but something just keeps telling me the Colts. So I'm not going to touch this one. I do think that I hope that both these quarterbacks ball out just because I feel like these two guys could be really fun to watch, like in future years in the league if they actually can get their shit together. Drake May specifically, like his ceiling feels like it's incredibly high. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays in this game. I feel like the Colts defense, they got a lot of guys back. So I feel like it's going to be a real test for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here.
Yeah, the rush defense has been kind of the downfall for the Colts this year, and
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson has not been running the ball well. And so with that, I'm definitely leaning on the Colts to go win. I think they need to bounce back, get back to 6-7, have a chance at keeping themselves in the playoff hunt, like you said. Um, Pats at home are tough, especially with their
Yeah.
defense and young quarterback that turns it over. But I do think Colts are going to bounce back here.
Right on. And then Steelers and Bengals, another in division game that has a lot of implications. Obviously, Burrow's had like probably an MVP level performance of the season. Just sucks that they're in that division with the Steelers and the Ravens because both those teams are just kind of overshadowing the Bengals right now and their terrible defense. Um, but Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have just been insanely fun to watch this season. So they have another big game. I don't see any reason why they can't beat the Steelers as long as their defense can hold up.
Yeah, definitely not a game I'm taking in a parlay. I am
No.
very, very confused why the line is Bengals -3 when they
Yeah.
are 4-7 against a just lost to make them 8-3 Steelers team. With
That
that being
just beat
said,
the Ravens, too. Steelers
yeah,
just beat the
just with the
Ravens.
Ravens have the division. Just came off a loss to the Browns too, but Jameis is him, so there's that. Um, yeah, I'll give me the Bengals money line.
Yeah, love it. Then we get the Chargers and the Falcons. Obviously, Chargers lost the stuff one to the Ravens last night, the Harbaugh. But yeah, that was
3-0.
pretty fun game. Herbie played pretty well, even for not having a true wide receiver one. Quentin Johnson dropping 3 balls in the final 8 minutes of the game definitely does not help you win games. So they need to go and get a wide receiver one now if they want to have
Glad.
any shot in this season. They need to go get a really good wide receiver right now to play alongside Ladd because it's just not working out. And Herbie's too good of a player to leave with no weapons just because the moment that he gets a weapon, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender just because of the way Harbaugh coaches and hires defensive coaches around him. And Herbie's a 6'6" stud that's got a cannon. So you know that he's going to eventually get one. So it's just a matter of time. I think right now is a great time. They just paid all their defensive players, let their wide receivers go, but they need to get one wide receiver back just to put themselves in a decent position to win some games in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Actually, I think T. Higgins is going to be a good fit over there with LA.
Yeah, he would be.
Get him back in the warm weather, and so he can stay healthy and ball with that offense. Yeah, interested to see how that game goes against the Falcons in Atlanta. I'm going to take Atlanta +3 at home. I do think that they're going to come out and get a win, get themselves back up to 7-5, and space them up a little bit more from the Buccaneers, who I think are also going to follow up with a win and get back to 6 wins this week.
Yeah, I'm not. I do kind of like the Falcons +3 at home. I feel like that's a pretty disrespectful line for them. Um, but I'm not going to touch the winner or loser, I don't think. I do like the under. We talked about this a little bit before. The under 47.5 feels really good in this game. I know the Falcons are pretty banged up on the defensive side on the ball, but I know the Chargers really aren't anything special on the offensive side. And I don't know. I think J.K. Dobbins is probably going to be out further in the season now after that injury. So I have a feeling this is going to be a really, really defensive heavy game. So 21-17, something along those lines. Like I could see a Falcons win like that. And the Chargers have been super hit and miss like that over the last couple of years where they'll win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win a couple, lose a couple. And they were just 7-3 before they lost to the Ravens. So this could be a fitting loss to just kind of make sure everything gets in order. And hopefully they can go out and get that wide receiver for playoff start because if not, I just have a tough time seeing them win a playoff game.
Yeah, I think Chargers are in a good position either way. I, I think we're all kind of shocked to see them at 7-3. If you also go look at their record, though, they haven't beat anyone that's great.
Yeah.
They've had good wins, but nothing's been phenomenal. Obviously had the Ravens last week, and
Their defense, I think, is like the second highest scoring defense in the NFL, which has been really propelling them when their offense
and
struggles.
then running the ball keeps them in close games,
Yep.
especially being able to win good games like that. And now losing the running back, I think, is definitely going to hurt them. So interested to see how they continue to do over there. But yeah, I think that they're due to drop another one. Still be at 7-5, which is still impressive for
Yeah.
the expectations that team had. Falcons need to get a win to get back to 7-5. With the Bucs, we're going to beat the Panthers this week and get back to 6-6.
Yeah. 100% agreed. Then moving on, we got the Seahawks and the Jets. Jets are 2-point dogs at home. Obviously, the Seahawks have looked a lot better the last couple weeks, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Personally, still don't think Geno can hit the broadside of a barn on a good day, and I think this Jets defense is really going to test them. I think they're going to apply a lot of pressure early in the game, and it's going to kind of rattle Geno. And if that's the case, if Aaron Rodgers can get the ball with good field position, and if he does play in the first place, then I think that they could get out to an early lead, and that can kind of propel them to at least take care of the Seahawks this week.
Yeah, interested to see how that goes. Since you mentioned it, Aaron Rodgers, they're saying might go to the IR for the rest of the season, or like get benched in general.
I saw on the McAfee show today that he said that if he's feeling healthy, he's going to play. So who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm going to go as if he's playing. I'm going to take the Jets +3 at home. I am going to take the Jets money line at home. I think that they're the better team, even though the records show otherwise. For some reason, they're 3-8. The Jets curse. They just look terrible.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams should be balling. Garrett Wilson should be balling. Breece Hall should be balling.
I think it's a clear signal that firing Saleh and now obviously getting rid of your GM. Like I don't know if that's really the right move here, but here we go. It's the Jets, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like they're not coached or anything. Like I don't think anyone knows what's going on.
No.
But Seahawks are like
not very good.
Not that good, really. So
and not well coached, though.
I will say Jackson Smith and Jigba's been getting going this year. He's the top 8 receiver in the league right now, yardage-wise. It's good to see that happen with Geno.
DK had a really good game last game, too.
Yep. Geno's leading the league in passing yards per game. So keep it up, Geno, you freaking maniac. I'm going to take the Jets +3 and money line at home.
Right on. And then Texans and the Jags. Jags are still pretty much in shambles. Texans 5-point favorites, so I'm riding them.
Yeah, they need a win. They got to bounce back.
Defense is going to have a huge week. I'm feeling it.
They're still, man, they're just not healthy, which is wild. They just keep getting hit and hit over and over again. I do think they win. I don't love the 5.5. It's kind of weird. I'm probably going to take it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it anyway.
Yeah, I like the Texans this week. Definitely. A couple scores. They got the Cardinals and the Vikings. Vikings at home. I think they're 3.5-point favorites. I'm just going to take them on the money line. I like the Vikings. They've looked really good this season. Flores is their defensive coordinator, and obviously Kevin O'Connell is their head coach. Has just been an incredible combination for the Vikings, even with a roster that isn't super impressive to the eye on paper. They've really put it together. I do like the way the team plays, as a whole, and with them being at home, I just have a feeling it's a Vikings weekend. So I'm going to take them on the money line.
Yeah, I think this could be huge because after the Bears beat the Lions, they'll be 10-2, and so when the Vikings win this, they'll also
9-3 or 10-2. Yeah, true.
So be on the lookout for the Bears Thursday, and then we'll kind of go from there. My initial thought was Cardinals +3.5. Kind of want to just stick with the Vikings money line. If they ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think I'm gonna ride with that. Not something I'd play in any parlays. Very interested to see how this goes. Be on the lookout for the Bears Thursday. If they win it, I'm definitely taking the Vikings on the money line.
Right on. They've got the Titans and the Commanders. Titans obviously had a really big game. Final drive from Will Levis, which is kind of strange to see, but hey, good for him. That was pretty cool. Don't think he does it again here. The Commanders are definitely the better team. This game shouldn't be close. It might be, but either way, I see the Commanders covering 5.5 at the end.
Yeah, 5.5 they should. They're on a
Yeah,
three-game losing streak, which is why the line's low, as well as the Titans being on a
true.
win. They're coming off a win. They're on the streak. The line should honestly be 10.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
buy
what
it
I
to
was
10.
thinking.
I'm gonna buy it to 10. Uh, I'll take 5. I'm gonna buy it to 10. I think honestly 13 and a half. You're safe. I think it'll be 31-17 closest. Interested to see how it goes, but definitely think Commanders are a lock for the week.
Yeah, I do like that. And then we got the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Talked about them a little bit earlier. Bucks 6-point favorites. Panthers obviously played the Chiefs close, and they're back at home this week. Bryce Young's looked a lot better the last few weeks, but I don't think it's going to be able to propel them to a divisional win here against the Bucks. So just going to stick with the Bucks -6.
For about almost 4 weeks there, the Panthers were the hottest team in football.
True, true.
2 wins, a bye, and then almost taking down the Chiefs. They had a good run. The run is over. It's back
Yeah,
to
exactly.
it's back to the bake show with a shot to get back in the division there. Um, Interested to see how that one goes, as well as that Falcons game, because after this week, could get good value on the Falcons to win the division.
Yeah,
But Panthers should fall off back to 3-10. Wheels are falling off.
yeah. And then sticking in the division, you get the Rams going to play the Saints. Um, just gonna stick with the Rams money line. I do like what the new Saints coach has done. I can't remember what his name is.
Rizzy, the Riz God.
Rizzy, yeah, Rizzy. Dude had a stroke in the first game after he won, but other than that, he's actually propelled that team to playing a lot better brand of football. I do think they're a lot better. I just think that the Rams need this one. The Rams division's pretty much wide open still, and I just don't think the Saints really have a shot to win the division. So if that's the case, the Rams have to win this game for sure. So even if it's on the road, I just feel like the Rams, this is a must win for them. They have to kind of reinsert themselves into the playoff picture in their division because they're not going to get the wild card spot. So let's see the Rams get it done.
Yeah, the play that I had taken was Rams to win the division, Clemson to win the ACC, Georgia to win the SEC, and it's 450 to 1. So I got that one pending. It needs a big Rams win here. I think a 2-point line is kind of weird. Don't really touch 2-point lines. Saints are kind of cheats. Rams haven't looked phenomenal though, so I'll just take the money line. Play it safe. I think that's one of my favorite plays of the week is the Rams to win this game.
Yeah, I like that. We got a few games left. Eagles and the Ravens. Kind of back and forth. You got Saquon versus Derrick Henry. You got Jalen Hurts versus Lamar. This is going to be a super offensive game. Should be a really fun game to watch. I do like the way the Ravens have been playing the last few weeks, especially with that win against the Chargers. Do think that's going to give them a lot more confidence, and as long as they can kind of avoid some of the mistakes, especially the penalties, like it feels like the Ravens, like the way they kill their drives is by like a holding penalty or 2 false starts. Like I feel like a lot of the times their drives just can't get started because of a lot of penalties. And other than that, they just score. So as long as they avoid the penalties, I feel like they should be able to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I got the Ravens money line. I think that's one of my favorite plays of the week as well. I think Rams and Ravens I loved last week, and I love it this week. I don't think much else to say. I think Eagles will be for a loss going into Baltimore. Baltimore's a tough place to play. Obviously lost a big one versus the Steelers, and now they kind of have to turn it around. I think this is going to be a big win for them at home.
Yeah, for sure. And then last couple games, got the Niners and the Bills. Bills are 7.5-point favorites or 7-point favorites. I'm going to buy it down to 6.5. If Brandon Allen's playing again this week, Brock Purdy's not playing. I do think the Bills are going to be able to cover the 6.5. I do like James Cook to score another touchdown in this one. I do feel like the Bills are just the better team, and if this one's in Buffalo, it's going to be pretty cold, and I don't think the Niners are going to play that well. So I'm just going to stick with the Bills -6.5.
Yeah, if it's Brandon Allen, I'm not touching it, but I would lean on that 7 points for the Bills. If it is not Brandon Allen, whether it's Josh Dobbs or Brock, I'm taking +7 for the Niners. That's kind of what my lean is. Either way, if it's Brandon Allen, the guy's trash, so I probably won't touch it at all, but I'd be leaning on the Bills.
Yeah, right on. The final game of the week, the Monday night game, the game I'm most excited for. Got Bo Nix and his Broncos, 5-point favorites at home against the Cleveland Browns. Got a chance to go 8-5 here. Hopefully, get himself on the upward, up and up on the Rookie of the Year. So far, he's just been getting better and better each week this season. I've talked about him a lot. Like, I really like Bo. I think that in Sean Payton's system, it just makes sense. We've seen a lot of rookie quarterbacks that just have like 2 or 3 offensive coordinators, and they just can't find a system that fits for the rookie quarterbacks. And I feel like immediately Sean Payton knew exactly what he had with Bo, and that's the reason why he's just been able to develop so efficiently over this first year. So I do love the Broncos -2.5. This will get them to 8-5, and I think it really cements a 2-game lead for the wild card spot in the AFC, just because they're in the Chiefs division, and they also have the Chargers. So those are probably going to be 3 playoff teams from that division. But yeah, I love the Broncos. I love the way they're playing. Their defense is top 3 in the league. Their corners are unbelievable to watch. Their offense, when it's clicking, it's like a well-oiled machine. Bo's playing incredible. I think he has like 16 or 18 touchdowns over the last 10 weeks and against 2 interceptions, which has only been done like 4 or 5 times like in the past 20 years. So it's pretty incredible. Names like Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, like people like that. So it's just pretty incredible to see kind of what he's doing, and just the way that Sean Payton's been able to implement the offense around him, even without having crazy like good pieces in a $70 million budget deficit. So it's just crazy. Loving the Broncos this year.
Yeah, definitely excited to see how this one goes. My initial lean would be on the Browns +7. At the line's at 5.5. Makes sense to take the Broncos. I don't love it. I'm not going to touch it really at all. My lean is the +7 for the Browns. Also on the under 42. I think these are 2 good defenses. Obviously, the Browns lost some pieces as the year went on, so I could expect some scoring from the Broncos, which would again lean on the Broncos. Not the Browns, but if I'm taking the plus points for the Browns, I'd be leaning on the under as well.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the NFL. Thank you, everybody.
I got some absolute heat coming real quick. I cooked up a parlay while we were
One
going.
second.
So,
all right, quick parlay.
So give me this little 600-1 teaser. It's 11 legs, giving you picks straight off the show. We're starting it off hot with the Bears money line +400. Okay. If that doesn't hit, feel free to take the rest of the parlay. It's 140-1. I love it. So we're going to start off with that. We got the Bears on the ML. Then we're going to dive into some college ball, taking Vandy +11.5 at home against Tennessee. Sticking with Memphis at Tulane +14.5. I think that's a lot of points. Syracuse, I think, is another one I kind of personally like for the money line. They're getting 11.5 at home. I like that against Miami. Taking the Rams on the money line, like we said, got them over the Saints. Buccaneers over the Panthers. Ravens over the Eagles. Texans over the Jags. Commanders should be a free one this week over the Titans, so keep an eye out for that. We got Clemson over South Carolina at home is another big one for the week. And then to top it off is Notre Dame at home on the road against USC. So love those plays. Mix and match them how you like. It is an 11 leg starting with the Bears money line +400. Just taking it. If you don't like it, +140 after that for the final 10. I do love a lot of those plays. I'm going to mix and match 3 of them probably 5 or 6 times myself. Rams, Ravens, Commanders. I think those are some of my favorite plays for the week. Hoping to get big dubs from Clemson. A couple covers from Vandy, Syracuse, and Memphis are big ones for the weekend. So excited to see how it goes, and we'll get back to you next week and see if we have a shot at some big money. So hope you guys have a good one, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. And yes, there's 10 teams there, so I'll make sure to post that parlay as well in the description. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, I will have it down below. But yeah, everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend of football. Enjoy some family time. And until next time, see you. Peace.
See ya.